When you learn about decimals and fractions, it is important to understand how you can organize them and how can you compare them in a way that you can see different ways in which you can observe magnitudes and in which you can organize magnitudes. So for example, when you're talking about different types of instruments, sometimes those instruments are measured in inches that uses a lot of fractions, and they can be compared with other type of instruments that we use to measure that they are related in centimeters. So to know what is the size of each one, it's better to know how to compare them. So in this video, I'm going to show you my strategy, or one good strategy that we can use in order to compare decimals and fractions, or fractions with fractions, or decimals with decimals, in a way that you can do it faster, easy, and in plain terms, with no calculator at all. So let's see 3 examples that I want to show you. The first example is when you have 2 decimals. So let's say that you're going to compare the decimal minus 0.21 with the decimal minus 0. Let's say that 51. So this is plain simple, because if you want to compare decimals, you just need to go to the decimal place value and observe, using the same decimal place value, the numbers. For example, if we check the ones place, in both cases is 0, so it's not higher. I'm going to the next is going to be the 10th place, and in the 10th place the decimal value that is the highest will be the 5, so it will be this number. However, in this case we can see that the number is negative, so it means that as the number is negative, we can say that the number 0.21 is going to be greater than 0.51, because the numbers are negative. And remember that when a number is negative, the closer is to the 0, the greater the number is. So in this case, negative 0.21 is going to be greater than negative 0.51. This is the easiest way to compare two decimal numbers, and always go from the highest the decimal place value to the lowest decimal place value. Now, how can we do, or what is the best strategy to compare, for example, 2 fractions? Let's say that you have to compare the fraction 3/7 with the fraction, let's say that is 4/9. So I would like that you pause this video and find out the strategy, or comment the strategy in your comment section. Comment the strategy you use to compare these 2 fractions, to see if it's kind of appropriate, or to see if it's quite the same as we have. So what is the idea here? What we're going to do, or what I'm going to do? I'm going to assume that one of them is the highest or the greatest, and then I'm going to test if my assumption is correct or not. So for example, I'm going to tell that 3/7 is less than 4/9. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply cross multiplication. What means cross multiplication? I can use properties of inequalities to multiply by 9 here and to multiply by 7 here without having any change in the inequality, because I'm not multiplying by negative numbers. So in this case, 3 times 9 should be less than 4 times 7. So I got 27 less than 28, and this is true, this is correct. So it means that my first assumption is correct. 3/7 is less than 4/9. So as you can see, the method that I used, it was just applying cross multiplication, and by applying cross multiplication I test an easiest expression, and with this easiest expression I just need to see if they are correct or not. In some cases, people suggest you to use the least common denominator to get which one is the highest, but I prefer for you to use the cross multiplication. Sometimes it's easier for you, although you're using exactly the same method. Now, what happens if you need to compare a fraction with a decimal? So let's say that you have this fraction, this decimal, 0.38, and you want to compare it with 7/20. So I want that you will stop the video as well and tell me what is the strategy you follow, write the strategy you follow, and not only write the strategy you follow, solve it and tell me what will be the answer that you will get. And then I'm going to show you yours. Now, what is the strategy that I suggest? I suggest to do the same strategy that I show you in the other case. That is just, I'm going to assume that one of these two is less than the other. Let's say that this is less, okay? So 0.38 is less than 7/20. And I'm going to apply cross multiplication. So look at that, in this case 0.38 could be over 1, or you can write it as 38/100. And I'm going to apply cross multiplication. I'm going to multiply 20 times 0.38. So 0.38 times 20 less than 7. So if I multiply 2 times, remember that when you multiply by 10, you just move the decimal place 1. So it will be 3.8 times 2. And 2 times 8 is 16. 1 left. 2 times 3 is 6. And 1 is 7. So it's going to be 7.6 less than 7. This is not correct, not a correct statement. So as this is not a correct statement, means that I need to reverse the direction of my inequality. So I need to tell that 0.38 is greater than 7/20. So as you can see, I'm only using the cross multiplication to compare decimals or to compare fractions. If you do it in this method, the good thing is that what you're doing is just multiplying. Sometimes it's easier multiply than apply least common multiple, least common denominator, try to convert into a fraction, try to get common denominator in fractions. So this is a method that I highly use when I want to compare two decimals, when I want to compare two fractions, or when I want to compare a fraction and a decimal. And to finish, I would like that you work on the following example. What will be the highest? 0.51 or 6/11. Which one will be higher? Show me your method, show me your ideas of how you will do it, and comment if the method I use is helpful for you in order to compare this fraction. And that's it. This is how I use the strategy to compare decimals and fractions, and this is how you can check whether a decimal and a fraction is greater or less than the other. But I prefer that you put both negative, because this is quite simple, right? So I prefer that you put -6/11 and -0.51, because obviously if this is positive, it's going to be greater than the other. And that's it. So I hope that you like this video, that you like the strategy, that you can apply the strategy in other methods to compare fractions. This is only just to improve your mental math. This is also to improve your skills to use numbers properly in any situation. So see you in the next video, and thanks for being here. Bye bye. Subscribe and like the video.